All right, so we'll wait for a couple more people. SVEN is Stephen. So as we talk about this, you guys can kind of interact and ask questions too. Today we are talking about gut health and nutrition, which is my personal favorite topic. And I know for most people, kind of the root cause of where their issues are coming from. So again, hopefully some more people pop on here. I know that people can have access to the recording, but just a little reminder, the more calls you're actually physically on, the better it'll be. That way you can interact, you can ask questions, instead of just watching the recording. So before we go too much into it, I know that Sean and Maria, you just started and we jumped in a little bit late. But any issues with any of the transitions, removing the sugar, adding in vegetables, how's that going for you, Stephen? Stephen, how's that transition?
Are you asking me a question? Okay.
Yeah. How's the transitions going for you since last time we spoke? Anything that I can help you with? Any habits you need help forming?
The sugar I took out yesterday.
Good. Awesome.
So days before I'd been trying to wean down, but yesterday I reached the 0 tolerance level. So
awesome. Good job. Perfect. And so just a reminder for you, Sean and Maria, we'll go over all of this again at our grocery store tour. And so if the three of you are available Tuesday at 5:30 p.m., we'll all get to meet each other in person. And I'll show you how commonly sugar is in everything, right? It is in ketchups, it's in salad dressings, it's in everything processed. So we want to avoid that sugar as much as possible. And we'll talk about some of those reasons today on the call as well. But primarily when we talk about digestive health, we're talking about not just our actual stomachs or our intestines, we're also talking about mouth to anus. So our full-on digestive tract is about 25 or so feet long. If you were to actually pull it apart and stretch it out, you would see that our digestive tract is essentially the length of a football field. So it's insanely long. And so we want to make sure that we are thinking about digestion, not just from a standpoint of bloating or constipation or gas or anything like that, but also from the standpoint of, are we chewing our food? Are we allowing our senses to even realize that we're about to eat and we're smelling our food? So a lot of times people are eating like cold food right out of the fridge. And one of the issues with that is that you're not allowing your brain to even realize before you start to chew that food is coming. So there's actually something great that happens. All right, there we go, I muted you so we can stop that feedback. Stephen, I think you're signed in on 2 different spots, but you're muted now. So if you can choose one, that'd be great. But when it comes to, smelling your food, it actually starts the process of releasing insulin in your body, so from your pancreas, so that when you do start to eat, it's already starting to balance your blood sugar levels. So, preparing your food, smelling your food is going to help you to digest even better. Chewing your food 25 times between bites is also going to help to break down your food. If you've ever heard your mom say, you don't have teeth in your stomach, right? It is true. You need to actually chew your food here so that by the time it gets to your stomach, the stomach acid can actually break it down. There are also a bunch of different things too that go into how our digestion is going to work based on, were we a vaginal birth and we got exposed to the good bacteria in the vaginal flora on our way out, or were we a C-section? So C-section babies tend to be born with a weaker immune system because they didn't have that exposure. That, though, can be fixed by breastfeeding. But a lot of times women especially, or obviously women, but babies aren't breastfed because either discomfort to the mother or lack of milk production. We want to make sure that you're actually getting the good probiotics that you would have gotten from your mom's breast milk. Or if we've taken a bunch of antibiotics in our lives, our good bacteria in our gut has been killed off as well. So what I'm kind of getting at here is that probiotics are essential for a healthy gut. So even just taking an oral probiotic daily, and all of you have been put on one, is going to significantly help to reestablish a good, healthy bacteria balance in your digestive system so that you're actually able to digest your food and get the nutrients that you need from it, as well as outcrowd some of those bad bacteria or fungus or parasites that might be inside of our intestines. Another thing that some people can do to improve their digestion, depending on the person, are digestive enzymes. So I don't think this is something that's right for everybody. I don't think everyone needs them, because if your digestion's working properly, you have your own digestive enzymes that start in your mouth. They're also in your stomach. But for those who are struggling a bit, I might put you on some digestive enzymes that will help to break up your food even more so that it's easier to digest that food. It doesn't sit in your stomach, it doesn't ferment, and it will start to move your bowels a little bit better as well. But when it comes to optimal digestion, the biggest component is our food. There are foods that are great for us, and there are foods that are really dangerous to us, and it's different for everybody. So that's why if you've looked at your calendars or we've met in person, you know that we're doing what's called an elimination diet, where this week we're going to eliminate this food, next week we're eliminating this one, the week after that, this one. That way you can start to feel which foods are causing those issues in your bodies. And that, again, will start to help to rebuild a healthy population of bacteria as well as decrease inflammation. So we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Maria and Sean, but when you have that leakiness in your gut, so leaky gut or intestinal permeability, you get these little holes in your intestines from inflammation, from eating the wrong foods. And proteins will start to slip through those holes and make it feel terrible, right? Whether it's gas and bloating or make you fatigued or give you headaches or acne. So what we're aiming to do with the supplements like the GI Revive that you have is going to be to bring back together those intestinal linings to make sure that you are actually absorbing your nutrients and not releasing foods into our bloodstream where they don't belong. That alone is going to help with tons of symptoms and really make a big difference in digestion. Has everyone gotten a chance? Oh, hi, Stephen. Has everyone gotten a chance to look at the elimination calendar? Sean, Maria, did you see that already? Good. So when you look at that, you'll see that our next transition is going to be, and I'll pull it up here, I'll share my screen with you. Our next transition is going to be removing gluten, fried foods, and white potatoes. For those of you that are looking to lose a little bit of weight, this is huge in terms of helping to drop those pounds as well as healing up that gut, because these are all very starchy foods, right? They're very high calorie, which calories are not an issue in themselves, but gluten for most people does cause a reaction. Although I won't get into it too much, but gluten in like Europe is very different from our gluten, which is just not good for us. Fried foods are damaging to our cholesterol levels as well as our heart. And white potatoes are going to spike our insulin and our blood sugar, which is going to cause us to store more fat. So sweet potatoes are totally fine. And purplish blue potatoes are totally fine too, but we want to avoid the white potatoes going forward to help to balance our blood sugar levels, lower cholesterol levels, as well as just get better nutrient-dense foods and fibers from things like sweet potatoes. I feel like Maria just won an argument there that that white potato.
She was really happy with herself because she knew white potatoes were bad.
No, I didn't know they were that bad. I just thought that's why I always want more potatoes, because the insulin.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yep, it's so delicious. It's spiking your blood sugar. It's making your dopamine in your brain go off at getting really excited. And so we do want to avoid as often as possible those white potatoes. Now, of course, in real life, when you're done with the program and you've learned moderation, some white potatoes from time to time are fine. But when we're starting to make changes and gain momentum, we want to really reduce those. When it comes to, again, healing up the gut, there's so many ways to do that, and it's really individualized, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but really the basics of, again, chew your foods. Don't eat when you're stressed, because when you're stressed, you're in that fight or flight mode. You want to get into that parasympathetic rest and digest mode. So, get to a point where maybe you do 3 deep breaths before you eat your food if you're stressed or you're at work. Or I know that we've talked about this, Stephen, getting away from your desk when you're eating lunch, especially like business owners, things like that, or sales. It's so easy to sit at our desk and eat and work, and you're like not chewing because you're so focused on working, that it's really important to get away from your desk, sit down, breathe, chew your food. Something that has helped me, and I'm fortunate, I live really close to work, so I will actually escape during my lunch break and take 20 minutes and run home, make something really quickly to eat, sit down on my couch or at my dining room table and eat that, and then come back. So if my hour break, by the time I get out the door, it's 12:15, get home, it's 12:25, leave home 12:45, and I come back and I feel like I'm actually rested, versus what I used to do was bring my lunch to work, but then I would sit at my desk, or I would just leave it in the back and I'd forget to eat because I got carried away. So whatever it is you have to do to get away from your desk, you can even take that time to, if there's like a bench near your office or something outside, you can go sit outside. But that will make a big difference in your ability to digest. Again, taking a good quality probiotic, removing the foods that are causing us aggravation, as well as, if needed, killing off the bad bacteria to replenish with the good. And I won't talk about it too much here, but you'll see handouts for it. Colon hydrotherapy is a phenomenal way as well to clear out the intestines if we're trying to speed things up a little bit, or if we find an overgrowth. So for those of you that need it, we do offer it here at the clinic. And as members, you'll get a percentage off of that as well. Have you guys ever heard of the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen? No. So we'll go over this when we go for that grocery store tour, and it'll be really easy to see. But essentially, when it comes to good nutrition basics, of course, the more organic you can eat, the better. But when you're kind of thinking about, do I need to buy everything organic? I'm on a budget. You can start to buy more of the Clean 15 as non-organic and the Dirty Dozen as organic. What that means is the Dirty Dozen are the 12 fruits and vegetables that are most sprayed with pesticides. The Clean 15 are the least sprayed with pesticides. So you can actually start to make your purchasing decisions on that. It's not a perfect model because it doesn't really take into account glyphosates, which are sprayed on like our oats, on breads, wheats, things like that. But it does help to just begin the process of making better decisions. A nice rule of thumb, and you'll see that I've put that in your portal for you so you can see the list of Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. But a nice rule of thumb is if you are buying something with a thin skin, it probably is sprayed with pesticides because they don't want the bugs to eat it. So anything thin-skinned, buy organic. You'll actually see that they taste so much better. I love berries, so I eat them every single day. But you can taste an organic blueberry is sweet and it's delicious. A non-organic blueberry is pretty bland. And the reason for that being that there are more nutrients in the soil of organically grown crops. So you're getting a better quality product. So even if it's not on the Dirty Dozen, I prefer, if you can, that you still buy everything organic because you'll get a higher nutrient density and higher quality food, better growth. Ideal would be, of course, if you could grow all of your own stuff in your garden, but for most people, that's not a realistic goal. So, focusing on the Clean 15, Dirty Dozen, and I'll show you what that means once we go on that tour together. Something I get, any questions up to that, by the way? No? Something I get asked a lot is how do I make these changes sustainable, especially when we go out to eat? Right? I love eating out. I love being social. And I know that for many of you, that is something that you do too, especially in business, right? You're used to doing a lot of like meetings out on the go. You can't always control your food, but what you can do is make better choices. So you could be super strict and ask everybody, or every waitress or chef or whatever, is there gluten in this? Is there dairy in this? Is there sugar in this? But most of the time, you can make those decisions based on the ingredients that they list on the menu. So, for example, I went to a breakfast with a previous patient of ours, and we went to a place that it's not healthy, but you can modify even unhealthy places to make it healthier. So we got this, it's called the SJ breakfast, and it's like a barbecued pulled pork or something with white potatoes and veggies in it, and eggs. The thing also comes with a croissant and it comes with jam. But you can easily ask, no croissant, no jam, right? And then you're just getting the eggs, the minimal amounts of potatoes, and the pulled pork, right? And for me, I'm not working on weight loss. Potatoes are fine in my book as long as they're in moderation. But you can do that anywhere, or get a salad and get, a steak on top of a salad. So you're getting tons of vegetables there. Ask for no croutons or no dairy once we get to that point. Or if you're getting like a burger joint, get a burger but without the bun. Get it on a lettuce wrap. And instead of fries, get a side salad. Or, modify side of Brussels sprouts, things like that, so that you're able to still be out and be social and yet stick to your diet. What was that, Stephen?
What fun is that? But no,
I know.
no. I had breakfast this morning with, I had ordered the 6 egg whites, but I decided to have them throw in vegetables in the eggs.
Great.
And when they brought the potatoes, I just didn't touch them. I mean, it was like, so.
Awesome.
Normally I have some, to this morning I was like, I didn't touch, I just pushed it away and went, I'm going to town on my oatmeal with the eggs and veggies.
Great. Good job. And you can always, too, instead of the potatoes, ask them for a side of fruit. Never be afraid to modify. People don't get mad, especially if you live in this area where, people are more health conscious and it's more of the norm. But that was great. Good job. Just a side note for you, don't be scared of the yolk. You can eat the full egg.
Yeah, I get two over easy and 6 egg whites in regards to the bodybuilding stuff. So
okay, cool. Great. So as long as you're still getting those yolks are really good for the B12 levels.
Yes.
And we'll talk about food quality in a couple of weeks, and I'll talk about which eggs are better. But so you can make modifications anywhere. I know with Sean and I, we do a lot of coffee meetings and things with people too. Avoid that pastry section, right? Just avoid the muffins and the cupcakes and whatever else. A lot of coffee shops too, like the Coffee Plantation, they have like protein drinks too.
Okay.
What were you saying there, Stephen? Sorry, you were muted.
An egg on the croissant doesn't make it healthy?
No. We wish, right? But since you're talking about that, in terms of cooking at home, there are certain things that are kind of like our staples that we really like. And in a couple of weeks here, we're going to talk about calories. But I'm not a fan of counting calories unless it's to make sure that you're eating enough, which for most people is the problem. They're not eating enough. I know that, Stephen, you're working with a strength coach, so they're making sure you're eating enough. But for the average person, we're used to maybe having like our bread in the morning with peanut butter on it or, whatever it might be. You can swap out bread for like a gluten-free bread. That way you're still keeping that same routine, but switching it to a healthier alternative. But this is a great place to put the warning that gluten-free does not mean healthy. Right? There are plenty of gluten-free cookies and cakes and muffins, and they are not healthy by any means. They're full of processed junk. But, a gluten-free bread to kind of, do something at home, like an egg on a gluten-free slice of toast with maybe some avocado, or as I'll show you at the grocery store, I am obsessed with this amazing cream cheese that's actually made from almonds, and it's called Kite Hill. And I'll do like a gluten-free toast with some Kite Hill and, maybe a little piece of bacon and some sauteed onions and veggies and an egg on top, or do the exact same thing on like a lettuce wrap. So more of like a breakfast taco. But there are great ways to make sure that you're staying on track but still enjoying your favorite foods. If there's a food that you're worried that I am taking away from you, let me know and I'll help you to find an alternative. And then, Stephen, we've talked about this already, and then Maria and Sean will talk about it on Monday, but I'll have you guys do a diet diary for me so that I can see what you're eating on a consistent basis and help you to tweak it and find substitutions for your favorites. Any worries about eating out? Any foods that you can just think of right off the bat that you would want my help to find a good substitution or to make it healthier?
Going out to dinner tonight, and we're going to a Mexican restaurant.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm like, ooh.
It's totally fine. What's your favorite thing to get at a Mexican restaurant?
Well, I can't eat cheese, so I always have to have like a salad bowl, like a tostada with lettuce.
Yeah.
And I don't want to eat tomatoes now because I'm petrified.
Don't be petrified of tomatoes just yet. And we'll get to eliminating tomatoes later.
Oh, and Sean, you were thinking about a fish taco.
Okay.
I like, you know,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I could eat it tonight or not.
Yeah. So where we are, do they fry the fish? They might fry the fish.
No, there are places where you can grill. It's grill.
Grill? Okay. Yeah, if you can get a grilled one, that's totally fine. Later on, we're going to remove corn. But for now, you can do your corn tortilla with your fish tacos. Or you can...
I'll just remove her now because...
Well, that's all she eats is the corn tortilla because she's gluten intolerant.
Yeah. So I ask for lettuce.
Oh, okay.
Anywhere I go for a taco, I get a lettuce taco, and no exaggeration, every time it comes out, everybody at the table goes, wow, that looks really good.
Oh, wow. That's a good idea.
Yeah, every time. And they're beautiful because they're colorful. You have your meat in there, your veggies on there, and then you have the extra layer of veggies around it. So I almost always get a veggie taco when I go out. Not a vegetarian taco, but a lettuce wrap taco.
Yep.
Or I will do fajitas.
Oh.
And so I get fajitas, but no tortilla. So I just eat, the steak with the onions and the bell peppers and, rice and beans, or, just the actual fajitas and bell peppers and onions. Avoid the sour cream, since you are dairy intolerant, but I eat Mexican all the time. So either lettuce tacos or fajitas are my go-to. But you could always do like a salad taco bowl as well. Just avoid the tostada part, like the toasted.
Yeah.
But everything else is totally fine on there. I actually find Mexican to be one of the easier places to go because rice, beans, meat, veggies.
Yep.
You can kind of,
Okay.
and not that that's necessarily the healthiest thing. There's tons of salt. And again, no issue with salt unless it's in excess. And any time you go out to eat, it's excess.
Yep.
But it's okay. Go have fun. Be a human being. Be social. Just do your best to modify and stay gluten-free, for you, dairy-free, and stay away from that corn if you're ready to jump into that. But I think you'll be good. But definitely try those lettuce tacos. They're delicious.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And same with if you go to a burger joint, get it on a lettuce wrap.
Mhm.
Usually they fall apart, so the lettuce doesn't really stay on there. So I end up cutting it. But it's a great way to still enjoy a burger, but keep it healthier without that bun. Awesome. In terms of, again, sticking to your diet also when you're at home, so not just when you're eating out, the best way to stick to a healthy diet is to prep your own food. So we call it meal prepping, just like it sounds. On a Sunday or a Saturday or whatever day it is that you have off, take the time, go to the grocery store. As soon as you get home, chop everything up so it's ready to go, and either put it aside to be prepped later, but at least it's chopped so it's grab and saute, or even better, take everything and cook it right away. So meal prepping is where you're making all of your meals for that week or as many days as possible, all at one time. And so for those of you that are like me and don't like to cook because you don't want to clean, this is the best solution because you clean once. And then the rest of the time you're just warming up your food and there's no mess to be cleaned up. So the better you get at it, the more meals you can make in the same amount of time. So when you first start, it takes about 2 hours to make about 3 days worth of food. Once you get even better, then you find yourself making like 3 days worth of food in an hour, and you can make about 6 days of food or breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 3 days within 2 hours. So you get faster. But what I tell people to start with are those bacon and egg and veggie cups. You'll see that in your recipes, where essentially you're going to line like a muffin tin or a cupcake tin with bacon to make a cup, and then take eggs, beat them up with some veggies like kale, spinach, some red bell peppers, some onions, a little fennel seed. Tastes really good in there too. And then you can just mix it up and then pour it right into that baking tin. Put it in the oven for like 40 minutes at 350-ish degrees. and they pop out these beautiful, colorful muffins out of bacon and eggs. So that's a great grab and go breakfast. So if you're someone who tends to skip breakfast because you're go, 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 you can grab that. Or if it's a day where you're like, oh my gosh, I have 10 minutes left for lunch, grab and eat that. Or even for a snack when on a day that you're a little bit low calorie, that's a great option too. I'm a big fan too of using as many possible heat sources as you're meal prepping. So like an Instant Pot is a phenomenal tool. It's essentially like a pressure cooker, and you can get it on Amazon or wherever, but you can make, like Maria, you're probably used to this, right? The dry beans, trying to cook dry beans, you have to like soak overnight and you're like, okay, great, I forgot to soak them. I wanted beans, now what? You can take dried beans in an Instant Pot and they are done in an hour. So it's really amazing. So using an Instant Pot or a crock pot, have a couple things going on the top of your stove and a couple things in your oven. That way you're not just using the stovetop, because if you're just using one heating method, you're almost always going to get very little return on your food because you felt like you were doing a lot, but you only have maybe maximum 4 resulted foods, right? So if you're doing Brussels sprouts in the oven, next to them you have some sweet potatoes baking. On top, you have some cauliflower roasting. On the other side, you could have some, stuffed peppers. I love to stuff bell peppers. I know Sean and Maria, we've talked about lectins and things like that, but that'll be a more complex talk later. But you can stuff bell peppers too and do like quinoa in them or a little rice, mix in some ground beef, dice up some onions, put some mushrooms in there. So you get a bunch of stuff going all at once in the oven. On top, you could have some rice going. You could have some ground beef in here. You could have some venison cooking over here. Maybe sauteing some spinach and onions and mushrooms in another container over here. And then in your Instant Pot, you can have some beans going. So you can see how you could easily have rice and beans and vegetables and some ground beef, or you could do rice and venison and Brussels sprouts, or you could do, rice and stuffed bell peppers and bison, and then crack an egg on top and broil that really quickly for a breakfast stuffed bell pepper, right? There's so many options from 2 hours of work, because now you have like 9 different things going at once, and you're able to mix and match and just kind of keep things separate and then scoop, and individualize, or buy glass Tupperware and scoop everything into a ready-to-go meal so that all you have to do is heat it up when you're ready to eat. And so that will save you tons of time. The better you get at it, the faster you get. You can even do soups and things and store those in your freezer so they're easy to grab on a day that you don't have time to cook. But that will save you a bunch. So plan 2 days that you can meal prep, just in case your first meal prep only lasts you about 3 days. Because a lot of times you're like, man, I've been cooking for 2 hours, and you look at it and you're like, oh, that was just 6 meals. Especially if you're cooking for 2. I learned that the hard way with my boyfriend, since he eats 4,000 calories a day and I do not. I didn't realize that I should have been cooking for 3 people and not just 2. So you learn. You'll go and you'll learn, but check out the recipes I've supplied you with. The biggest hits are those bacon and egg cups, the breakfast casserole, people really like that Asian, like cabbage and beef stir fry. The chili in there is really good too. So there's tons of options. Play around with it. Enjoy meal prepping. It will save you tons and tons of time. Any questions or concerns about doing that? Has anyone tried meal prepping before?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Awesome. I think you're really going to. Good.
Yeah, I think on Monday.
Yeah. So the recipes you referenced, I don't think we've seen them yet. Are we getting those Monday?
You'll see them in your portal.
Okay.
So they'll probably be in the gut health and nutrition handouts if you haven't read those yet. I believe it's under the meal prep
Okay, great.
module. Yeah. And if you ever need more recipes, just let me know. I'm actually going to be putting together a diet diary of my own to show you guys kind of what like a week kind of looks like. Because another practice member is like, okay, I love those recipes, I want more. And she wants to see like, what do you eat? So I'm going to show you. And if you're interested in seeing that, ask me in a week and I'll share mine with you too. But yeah, tons of recipes there. Don't forget, you have Pinterest as a resource too, or even Google. Just type in, healthy, gluten-free, dairy-free recipe, and you'll find stuff. Or if you like technology, there's a really great app called Mealtime or Mealime. So I'm going to pull it up. Excuse me, there's a little tickle in my throat. So it looks like this. I don't know how well you can see, but it gives you options of different meals you can make. So for those that can't see it, there's a grilled steak and vegetables with chimichurri sauce.
Yeah,
I love
Sounds great, right? I love chimichurri.
Yeah.
There's a black bean and mango rice bowl with cilantro vinaigrette. Thai chicken and bell pepper lettuce wraps with peanut sauce. And mango chicken curry with bell pepper and basmati rice. Right, so that's just some examples of recipes on here. So it's Mealime, Mealime. And again, that's written in your portal. But what's nice about this is if you decide, okay, tonight I want to eat strip steak and bell pepper fajitas with guacamole and butter lettuce, you click on it and you'll add it to your meals, and it will tell you all the ingredients that you have to go to the grocery store and buy. So the more you add to your favorite list, when you go to click on grocery list, it will tell you all the ingredients for all of the recipes that you selected. And if you have it, you check it off, it goes away. So when you're at the grocery store, you're like, okay, I still need to buy butter lettuce. I still need to buy some, fajita seasoning. I need to buy this. And it makes it easy. So for those of you that are less creative and maybe have less in your actual home right now, use apps like this to help to get you started. Or you'll see in the recipes, it puts all the ingredients there too and the cook instructions. But tons of ways to stay on track and make sure that you're eliminating the foods that you should. So just as a kind of recap here, this week take away the fried potatoes, or the fried food, the white potatoes, and the gluten.
That'll be easy.
You'll also make sure that you're keeping out that sugar and you're adding in those 2 servings of vegetables with each meal. I can't stress how important vegetables are in regulating your digestive system. If digestion is harder for you and maybe bowel movements aren't super easy, steam or cook or roast all of your vegetables. That way it's already almost essentially like pre-digested. It's a little bit easier for your body to handle as you start to regulate your digestion. So we see this a lot too with like the cruciferous vegetables that you'll read about. Those tend to be more of like a gassy vegetable for people, even though they are so beneficial because they have a sulfur component to them. So by cooking or steaming or sauteing them longer, most people can tolerate them better than if you're eating them raw. So definitely something for you to try. If you're having a hard time getting your 6 servings of vegetables a day, start making smoothies or like shakes. So a lot of times breakfast tends to be the one that's really hard for people to get their veggies in, especially if you're on the go and it's time to run out the door. Make a shake, a protein shake or just a smoothie, and put a huge handful of spinach, put a carrot, put maybe half a cucumber, put maybe a stalk of celery, and maybe like a 1/4 cup or a 1/2 cup of blueberries, some coconut milk, and blend it up. And now you've gotten a ton of servings of vegetables, even in just that one drink. And Stephen, they taste great. So if you're worried about everything I just said, they're actually delicious. Play with it, see what your taste buds like, but try to put more vegetables than fruit. Okay. Any questions as our time is almost up here? Anything I can help you with this week?
Any questions?
Not me.
Awesome. If you think of anything, send me an email, make those eliminations, and then we will meet again, same time, same place next week here, and we'll talk about stress, sleep, and the adrenals. But definitely get caught up on those modules, and I am here to help in any way possible if you guys need me.
The web portal seems to be down. Is there some issue with it, or
I'll double check, but it
do I
should.
have a URL that maybe is bad?
you might have the wrong link. I'll resend you a new one, but
Okay,
it should be good to go.
thanks.
Of course. Bye, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Have fun meal prepping.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Some pictures. Bye.
Bye.